There we go. Yes. So anger, fear, joy, grief are, everybody knows what is meant. And they are absolutely neutral. They are neutral energies. What changes them is how we use them. We can use them in what I call low drama, which is what most of us are in most of the time. Or we can move them to high drama. So for anger, when we are in low drama, anger is very destructive. It's like a temper tantrum, and I'm angry at everything that's around me, and it's everybody else's fault, and everything is wrong. And I can use that energy. When I have that energy of anger, I can change that energy and move it into what I want. Not what I want to destroy and what is negative and what is bad, but I can move that energy into, this is what I want. This is where I'm going. And it gives me that impulse. It's like the energy that is used in martial arts. This is happening, and there's no doubt about it. This is very, very straight. It's like a laser beam, but it's still the same energy, but moved to high drama. And it's clean and clear, and people usually love it. It's exact. Now, with fear, it is very similar. We have to make sure that we don't suppress fear. I remember distinctly one example when I was teaching. I was leading a group on a special session. They were there, a business group with their manager, and the manager said, "I never feel fear. I don't have fear." Now, that to me is a broken down system. You've suppressed the fear, because it's a good thing to feel fear. Fear carries a message to us. And the message that fear gives us is not that we have to run away or that there's something really terrible there. The message is, this is something unknown. Fear comes up when there's something we don't know, we haven't experienced. And I work with archetypes. So fear, in low drama, the archetype is death. We are afraid of death because we've got no idea what happens afterwards. But really, the fear only tells us we don't know. So in the extreme case, fear, we become paralyzed with fear. We become stiff with fear, and we can't move. Now, when we encounter an ET live on the ground, and that's one thing that can happen, that we are so afraid that we're paralyzed. If we're not quite that much afraid, it can happen that we're shaking, we're trembling with fear. And the problem with that when we meet ETs is that we become unpredictable. And that's scary for them. So lots of these ETs have been working with military, and military people tend to be very afraid of the unknown, and so they might shoot. One of the examples is the books by Charles Hall. Charles Hall, you may have heard of him. His books are on Audible. I've met him. He was in the 1960s. He was a weather balloon man, a weatherman in the Mojave Desert for the military. And he had to go out in the middle of the night every so often and take his measurements. And he was in an area where there was a settlement of ET beings, white ET beings. And he dealt with his fear for months on end by telling himself that it's not true what he's seeing. He was telling himself that his mind was hallucinating. It's quite fascinating how he deals with it. And so very, very slowly, over many, many months, he came to realize that his hallucinations are not hallucinations, but all his other people who had been working with him, they ran away. They said they'd never go back. They were shaking in their boots. They quit, and just because they were so afraid of something that they didn't know. Now, they were never introduced by their upper people who knew about it. They were never introduced to that this is what they're going to experience when they're out in the desert. So that's definitely one way of dealing with it when you encounter an ET up front. You can just imagine it's not true. And this is also something that we do, for example, when we do fire walking. Walking across fire is something that we don't know. We are told that this is bad and that we're going to get burned. So don't try this at home, because there's a few things that go with it. But when we do fire walking, one thing we can do is imagine it's not real. We can imagine we're walking through snow and that our feet are ice cold, and that definitely works. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to go into breakout rooms. This is the first time I'm doing this, so I hope it all will work very well. And everybody will be matched up with one other person. And just you'll have 6 minutes to introduce yourself, have a chat, get to know each other, and share your experiences and how these experiences made you feel. Let's see. Breakout rooms. We will have 2 people per breakout room, and here we go. That didn't work. I need to do that again. I need to, just a moment. I need to.
Yeah, I got switched back to the main room.
You're all back. Okay, good. So what I wanted, 2 breakout rooms instead of what I wanted was.
So I have to show my ugly face.
I would say that that's just an opinion that you have.
Well, it's a joke.
Raise your energy and show your face.
Okay.
So how do I do this? This is complicated. Recreate. Assign 17 participants to.
This page is.
There we go.
Need my glasses for this.
Join.
Okay.
Oh, Manas. Hmm. So I hope that was fun.
It worked. It was wonderful. Thank you, Oona.
Very good.
Excellent, good. Yes, and the computer automatically puts you in groups. So isn't it fun to see who you end up with? Yes, well, welcome back. What I think it worked for almost everybody. There was one group that didn't work, and I'm sorry about that. We might just have time to do another one of these in a wee while. Now, one of the things that really helps when we do CE5 is if we don't do it alone. It's particularly women have more fear physically, and that's just genetically, that's the way it's been. It tends to be that women have more physical fear, whilst men have more emotional fear, fear of being put down, fear of being emotionally abused, whereas women have more fear of being physically abused. So make sure you go out with someone. That makes it a lot easier. Now I want to show you what happened. I'll show you a picture that was taken at one of the CE5s I did with Dr. Greer. I'll just start sharing my screen. Here we go. Now what you see here is everybody sitting in a circle, and the bright light is Dr. Greer's headlamp. But and then there's two white containers. We were not sitting in a very beautiful place, so there's two white containers at the back, and I think you can see my mouse. So I'm sitting here somewhere, and the people on the other side of the circle kept on saying, we hear something, we feel something, we hear footsteps. And after about half an hour of every once in a while somebody saying, we feel, we hear, we see something, the photographer took a picture in that direction, and this is what he got. I'll zoom in. There's a being here. And you can see him wearing some kind of helmet, some kind of spacesuit. Probably this is one of his arms. But what the most important thing that actually happened was the love that we felt. And that so often happens when these beings are on the ground and we have raised our vibrations to one of to a meditative place, to one of feeling love and being in our heart, then what we can feel from these, we can feel actually the resonance from these beings. We can feel the love that they have. We can feel their high frequency. Whereas when we go into fear and terror and run away or shoot or have some strange reaction, then we cannot feel that. We actually take the experience away from it. So these pictures, they're usually, they're not usually very, very clear, but the feelings of us who remember that, that's the most important thing. And one of the things for me when I saw these two spacecraft land, it left me for weeks with a feeling of immense love. It just raised my vibration to a place that I hadn't ever been before. So by raising our frequency through meditations, through talking to ourselves that, yeah, this is just fear that you're experiencing. It's nothing else. It's just fear. It's a normal reaction. Use that fear to go to something of excitement, looking forward to what we're seeing. This is what we want to experience. This is good. One thing we can do is we can keep on visualizing, seeing the good, focusing on the good. when we go into all these videos that are everywhere online, what they usually have is music that goes with it, which is music that activates our fear. It's subliminal. It's usually around 19 hertz. We can hardly hear it, but the frequency that is put out through to TV, through YouTube, carries a frequency of 19 hertz, which creates fear in us. Let's see what else. I wanted to share what fear looks like. This is a picture that we probably all know by Edvard Munch. And he had a friend, also a painter, who once showed him a painting he had painted. Munch said, yes, that's what a cow looks like. Yes, that's what a tree looks like. What Edvard Munch was interested in was emotions. So fear is something that it creates big eyes, big mouth, spread out fingers, and we start shaking and trembling. So it's okay to feel that. In fact, it's really good to feel that. Lots of people use that to do fearful things like jump out of airplanes or go down black pistes with the snow or whatever it is. It is that thing, fear is that thing that enables us to do something anyway, to get that special kick out of something, to activate our adrenaline glands. So it's healthy, it's good. And just be aware of what it feels like in your body when you have fear. Just know that it doesn't mean there's something bad. The message it carries is it's unknown. Only that. Only it is unknown. And then we need all our other facilities to know what we actually want to do. Let's see, what else did I want to talk about? So in all the CE5 groups around the world, and there's been thousands and thousands of people going out there doing CE5s, not once has a truly negative experience been reported. It's one of the things we need to remember is that sometimes, for example, we go to the doctor and he needs to give us an injection, and basically that seems to be a negative thing. And we may be afraid of it, but it may actually save our life. So there sometimes have been reports of people being saved by ETs. One of the examples, yes, a friend of mine was just telling me about this example of a group of friends, an ET ship came down, and this one chap, he ran out under the spaceship, and he came into shock, into lightning, and passed out. And the others ran away. Now, the person who was struck by that electric shock, he was gone. The friends came back and he wasn't there anymore. So it was all about he was abducted on the spaceship. But as something like that would actually happen, they saved his life, because something like that, a shock to the heart, when you ask an emergency room doctor, it takes 5 days to be treated until the person comes out of that shock. And after 5 days, this man reappeared more or less close to his home. He only remembers about 20 minutes of what happened. And he was on the spaceship, and he was shown around, and he even got to steer the spaceship for a bit. So things are not always what we seem. And also, I would like to say is where we are at is what we manifest. What's within also manifests without. So if we are in a low frequency, then that's what we attract. If we are in a high frequency and we go to as high a frequency as possible, through meditation, through practice, through what we focus on, then that's what we're going to experience. So my experiences always have been absolutely wonderful, sublime, blissful, and enhancing. One of the things that people sometimes do notice is that they become clearer in their head, that they become more intelligent by doing this work. Let's see. Yes, let's do a meditation. Oh, let me stop this Edvard Munch picture. Yes. Let's do a meditation that I do practically daily that connects us to the universe through love. And if you want to, you're most welcome to switch off your video just so that you can focus on yourself. So focus on your physical heart. We're all going to focus, just feeling that physical heart. Feel it as best as you can. If ideally you would be feeling it as though you were feeling your finger or your feet. And from that heart, from that physical heart that you are feeling, in whatever way works for you, send love down to Mother Earth. I sometimes love touching the earth, touching her as though she were a baby, telling her how much I appreciate her because she is a living being. And after sending that love down to her, just sit back and wait for that love to come back to you. It may take a few minutes or it might be instant. Just immense love coming from Pachamama, Mother Earth, back to you, right back into your heart. And then I'll just wait a little longer because sometimes it takes a few minutes until you can truly feel that love come back. Filling you, flooding you with that warm love. She knows she's alive. She's got a different consciousness, but she's alive and very knowledgeable. And if you haven't felt it yet, just do the meditation again on your own later on. But for now, as a group, we will move on to send that love from our heart in whatever way works for you, up to the sky, to the cosmos, to the universe. You might focus on your galaxy, our galaxy. You might focus on the sun, the moon, the whole cosmos. Just send it up to Inti Taita, the Father archetype. For the whole cosmos too is alive and a being in itself, holding us, holding the earth within it. I sometimes love stretching my arm out, my palm up to the stars. And then just sit back and wait. Wait for that love to come back to you. That protective love that holds you, carries you, knows you. It may feel like protection, like a mantle, a blanket coming over you. It may feel intensely warm in your heart. And we know that whatever we send out always comes back. Now, if you wish to stay with this, you may, or you may also move on to sending love in whichever way works for you to something that you fear or something that is difficult. Maybe love, you send out love to extraterrestrials or to spiders or to a relationship where you have difficulties. Send that love out. Doesn't matter how. And then wait. Sit back and wait. Wait till the love comes back to you. It always does. Do this exercise with wherever you need it. Move on to another person, or move on to the sun, or to ascended masters, or whatever works for you. And in just about 1 minute, we'll come back again. And the easiest way to come back will be to just place all your fingertips on the table, on the ground, to bring you back to what we call here and now. Okay. Now, if you have any questions about fear, no, before we do that, before you ask questions of me about fear, I'd like to do breakout rooms again and just share where you are at now. What happened? Has anything changed for you with fear? Is there anything you will do differently? Anything you want to practice? Yeah, so breakout rooms. Let me see if I can do this. It's still giving me the same breakout rooms. That's not what I want. I want you all to be with somebody different. Recreate. There we go. Let's see what happens. Okay, so I'm not sure what's happening, but it seems that several people did not join the breakout room. Okay. So
I didn't accept the meeting
Okay, that's
because
why.
I had fear, so I wanted to run away. So it's maybe the other people can't join. I don't know.
Okay, that's why it's confusing. So
Sorry.
no problem whatsoever. This is
I felt some fear, but I didn't want to talk about it.
yeah, okay, don't worry about it. Let me just I just need to get other people. Okay. Okay. I'll close all rooms and get everybody back. Yeah. So yeah, I know we had some confusion and sorry, Rob. Marcus had problems with his audio and I had you join Marcus's group. So
Never mind.
It's technology.
That's the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was interesting, Oona, because I spoke to Renee in my breakout room and I was explaining how I do some of my like protocols, and I was explaining to him about a connection from the crown down through into your heart, down into the center of the earth, get the love from the earth and bring it up to your heart and then send it out. And then you did that meditation. I was like, get in there. Synchronicities, we love them.
Yeah. 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 Yes.
6 minutes is too short.
Was it? Oh, okay. Well, it's, let me see. I want to have you in gallery view again. 6
In my
minutes is
family, 6 minutes is a handshake.
oh, gosh. Now I have to find your real name again. Tarkington, Lewis, was it? Lewis.
Just call me M. M is the name that I go by. My mother called me Monty, and it's not a name that I like very much. So I've been going by M. Lewis for 20 years. So M. Think of James Bond. Wasn't M the boss, but of James Bond or something? But no, just M. It's very easy to remember, and it's one letter. Can't be misspelled.
Okay. And that'll be good to remember, easy to remember. Yes, so yes, for some it was too long, and for some it didn't really work out. There was an audio problem, and M. No, I'm not talking to you. I'll try not to say M. So, but most of you look happy. Is there anything anybody wants to ask or share in this big group?
Is this about fear?
It's about anything. Just wave your hand, and Sandra, yes. So you go ahead, Sandra, then Yannick after that.
Love is like a feel joy inside of you, or feel like you wanna take care of something. How is the feel?
So love is, of course, a very big word, and there's so many different ways of interpreting love. So when I speak of that love that I feel with these ETs, it's a connection. First of all, I feel very, very connected. And we know that when we're being ignored, we don't feel loved. So actually the opposite of love can be being ignored. This love is it's like a cloud, it's not like I love you, you love me. It's just something that envelops you. It's blissful. It's almost humbling. It's devotional. Now, I wasn't raised religious, but I'm stuck with using religious terms. And I think that's what happens in religious terms, when you have an apparition, it may be very similar to seeing an ET. Does that help you, Sandra? Okay, good. Okay, we'll have M afterwards, but first Yannick.
Yeah, I am feeling that I am stuck into fear right now.
Okay.
So when we had the meeting, I had the fear of the meeting, so I ran away.
Yeah.
And I feel more fear talking people. I'm a lonely man, and I don't have any fear to contact extraterrestrial. So I tried C5 a few times. Yeah, apparently it worked. I saw some cosmic flashball.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Yannick, that I'm also more afraid of human beings than I'm afraid of ETs. I agree, because human beings can be very abusive and yeah.
The real monsters.
Yes. Just think of John Lennon, who was singing about love all the time, and what killed him was some crazy person on the street. So I think when it comes to C5, you will find many people who are like that, Yannick, who also feel that, who also feel that we're somehow different from the other people. Yeah. So I think that's great if you're doing C5 on your own and you feel comfortable with that. For me, it's still going out at night alone. I much prefer going out with someone else. I just know that my body calms down when I'm with someone else. The other thing, when we do it as a group where we're really coherent and on the same level, we are stronger. We have a stronger energy, and when we can together create that love in a circle amongst each other, it's humongous. Last night, for example, I was on a Zoom meeting with two very close CE5 friends of mine who will also be doing a presentation. And we are so coherent in our energy that we went to very, very distant places together and had experiences like never before. So I'd like you, Yannick, to, when we end the meeting, if it's okay with you, I'd like you and Marcus to stay online, and we'll deal with your fear then together. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. M, you've left us with the lion picture in the background, but it was your turn to speak.
I'm sorry, I was trying to find a photo that I took of there were orbs flying in formation. I think there were 5. I have to look at the photo. I have it on my iPad and my computer, but I have an actual photo that I wanted to show you real quick. They were flying in formation just 1 block from my home, up in the sky, obviously. And I was looking at the chemtrails, and I saw them, and I hate those things because they're just destroying the earth. So I took a picture of it, and many times when you take pictures, you're not able to see some of the craft, or the beings for that matter, with the naked eye. But when you look at it in post, or what I mean by in post is afterwards, with your picture in an iPad or a camera or a viewfinder, then you can see it. And so I saw 5 flying in formation, and then another 5 or so, probably 500 meters ahead of them. So that was a nice encounter here, not the first in my lifetime, but I wanted to ask you, I have encountered some malevolent beings since I was able to walk. Same ones that came to visit me many times in my lifetime through my adolescent years and then into adulthood, until I learned how to take authority over them. and that was a long process. So I know when they're coming into the room, I sense it, or when they're coming into my space or my plane or my physical existence. Have you ever encountered such beings? I mean, they all cannot be good. They all cannot be benevolent. I mean, there's good and evil everywhere. So have you ever encountered anything like that? I certainly have. And yes, it gave me a great amount of fear, but as time progressed and I learned how to overcome them and that fear that I had, they started to have fear because I didn't have any fear. So they don't come knocking at my door anymore, you know, to make it simple. But I certainly don't have fear of them. I have, like you said, and I told this to the wonderful lady with the beautiful aura from Italy that has this joy all over her. I mean, I saw her face earlier and I said, she's got it going on. But I was telling her, I'm more afraid of the humans that are in control of this earth in governmental positions than I am beings that are not of this world, you know? I mean, with eugenicism and all the things that they're trying to do to wipe a lot of the population out, I'm more afraid of what I'm putting in my mouth than what I see.
Okay, so what you need to do is exactly the same thing. This is what we're doing. We're moving to that fearless place. We need to come to that being spiritual warriors, fearless. Now, have I experienced it? I have experienced mind control. I was in St. Petersburg and I was being mind controlled it was quite a surprise to see what human beings can do. And what I did was I went out and learned how to deal with that.
Yeah, well, there's DARPA and all those things, absolutely. But at 4 years old, I wouldn't have been a victim of mind control. That was the first time that I saw this entity. And later.
And well, we don't know. See, we don't know. Is this something that has been, this entity, has this been created by human beings? Or, so I just don't know. All I know is that I know how to deal with it. I know how to create those frequencies within me that will deal with anything that happens here in this world.
I'm blessed to be able to do that as well, but it took a lot of time, and
yeah,
there's a certain language that I've been able to speak as well that they understand, and it was given to me. It was not something that I learned. It was a language that was not anything that I ever heard before. It was a full vocabulary. I get a spiritual sense of what it is that's being said, but not verbatim. It's not like a translator could say, he's saying this, it means this. It's a higher form of communication that was given to me. This is 20 years ago. And then I can speak against them, and generally it's against, because they're not there to have a Coke and talk about life. They're there to create fear. I don't think that this is anything created by man. This is something that was born somewhere else in some other level or existence or dimension, or it just came here.
Yeah.
And why it came to me, I have no idea. And I'm not the first person that I know of that has encountered such things. There are people that I've spoken to. Not a lot, mind you, because not a lot of people will open up about it. They're fearful of what people will say and how they'll be judged. But there have been people that I've talked to said, you know, I had this same visitation and I've had it since I was a child, and you're the first person that I would.
I'm going to stop you right there, because I know these things.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we need to know. I always feel we need to know what's going on, and then we need to move up.
Right.
You need to move up, right? To that higher frequency, to that higher level, and be there. Stay there. Stay there in that good, because then they cannot do anything to you. You are the only person who has authority over you. Now, I'm not discussing, you know, a child, that's something else. But
right.
you were given that chance to learn that language. You were given that chance to become that spiritual warrior that we need, that we all need to have here on earth now. I am absolutely not a fan of the spiritual pink, everything is lovey-dovey. Doesn't work for me. That's
All right.
But I do work with, I do exorcisms, if you want to call it that. So I do work with that. I do know that it exists, but stay on the high level. Always go back to that high level. Does that make sense to you?
No, yes, it makes perfect sense. But to many, that might be a bit ambiguous when you say high level. What do you mean by that?
Yes. For example, I mean this meditation that we just did today.
Sure.
I mean, don't talk about it excessively.
Right. No, I don't. This is the first group of people that I've opened up about it, and I don't go out in public and wave a sign and say I see
no, you wouldn't
monsters.
Be otherwise.
Right, but no, the higher level for me when they come is not. I'll be honest with you, it's not a feeling of love that I have for these individuals.
Actually, this is what I want. Thank you so much, and this is exactly what I needed to say that I haven't said yet. Is that you can be very strict, you can be very angry, and you can be very fearful. You can be all of that, and at the same time, feel love for whatever it is. It's like telling a child, no, you're not allowed to cross the street. There's a car coming, and you hold the child there, and at the same time, you love it.
You can have compassion, absolutely, for almost anything if you are evolved enough to do so. I agree with you 100% on that. There are times when I sense something trying to come or tempt me or whatever it is, and I say no. I'll say it once, I'll say it even twice, but if you do it again, then I'll do something that will hurt you. So I'm giving you a chance to go. And generally they go, and I try to give them a chance, you have, and they try to come back again. So it's like 3 strikes and you're out, The third time I'm going to invoke this language. And many people are probably hearing this going, this guy's nuts, but really I'm not. And if you have an open mind and you believe that we really don't understand everything that's happening in our universe and in our world, the gifts that are available to us, we see such a finite part of existence that there's so much more out there. Yeah. And so if a person says by some kind of divine gift, what I mean by divine is our divine architect or whatever, it came upon me, this feeling of love that you said was overwhelming. After that, it became a feeling of uncontrollable joy. I felt like I was drunk with joy.
Yeah. And that's where you need to stay in.
But that's where that language came from. So I have that authority,
yes,
that backup, that I know that I can use this and it works.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem with it now. You know what I mean? I can walk down a dark street, and I don't like the dark. Yeah. But I can walk in the darkness and not have that kind of fear.
So this is exactly, thank you so much. And this is exactly what we need to do. We need to know, yes, but we need to stay in that consciousness of high frequency. And it's practice. It's just practice.
Yeah, I've had a lot of practice fighting with these guys.
Meditation, focusing on this, really on a daily basis, it changes the way our brains work. We know that from neuroscientists. It changes the way we work with our heart. There's a physical way of working with our heart, which I teach at these courses, where the light of the heart is so strong, it will blind anything you have. You will be able to, you'll be able to walk through whatever it is and know that you are in charge. Always, you are in charge. Nothing can hurt you. It's that spiritual warriorness. That's what you need. So you're doing really good, Em. I really thank you very much for your contribution.
My pleasure. I'm trying to finish a book on this whole experience, and it's been difficult to finish it. I was telling one of the other wonderful ladies here that were in the breakout room with me, and I said, I guess I'm waiting for this climactic finish, something miraculous and fantastic to wind up the book. And maybe just the fact that I was able to come out of this as survivor with all the things that I have faced in my life is climactic enough. So maybe I just need to get this book finished, because I do deal with these entities quite heavily, what I've learned in the encounter. There was another being that came in before I got this language, and we hopefully can share privately sometime or in more detail. I don't want to take more time from the meeting here, but it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And this being gave me the ability to do the things that I'm able to do now. There was a transference of information and knowledge that I didn't have before, and it wasn't discussed in words. It was instantaneous.
Yeah, that's exactly
I knew things after this encounter with him that I didn't know before. And then when he left, I turned around because these other things couldn't share the same room with him. When he left, I turned around and I saw every one of those dark entities.
You've got so much to share, and I'd really like to hear it, but I think we need to move on in the meeting. We're already 10 minutes over, and definitely finish that book, because, and exactly what you say, these things come in concepts. The information comes in concepts, often, not always in words. Yes. Does anyone else have a question or a comment or anything to share? Okay. Well, Rob, yes.
Hello. Yeah, I just wanted to sort of give maybe a suggestion for people that might be quite fearful. One of the things that I've tried in the past before, and it seems to work quite well, is get a good friend, or get a couple of friends with you, just so you're not on your own. And then during the daytime, go to some like your local woods. Okay, now you walk around, you acclimatize yourself to that place, you know where it is, but then you go back at night. Okay, and you go and you just sit in the woods at night. Now, when you're, like you say, when you're with other people, you feel a strength in numbers. So you acclimatize yourself to that woods. I mean, I've done it, and it was terrifying at first, but I've walked around them many, many times. But I've done it on my own. So the idea is to go with a few friends, then maybe go with one friend, and then try and attempt to go on your own. So you go, it's familiar surroundings, you've been there, you know that you'll be safe in there. And then you just go and you sit in the woods for like 15 minutes and then go. And then you try and extend the time that you stay in there. And it's a really good way of conquering that sort of unknown fear. Because if you're afraid to go and sit in the woods at night on your own, what are you going to be like when you're faced with something, as you said, like an ET or some being or a craft or something that takes you out of your comfort zone? So when you practice taking yourself out of that comfort zone, you become more accustomed to it, if you see what I mean. But that's one of my suggestions.
Yeah, that's a great way of doing it.
It is scary, but
Yeah, it's a matter of getting accustomed to it, but it's also, our body always reacts to something that's unknown, so it's good to have someone you know close by. And just holding somebody's hand has helped me face ETs who just appeared a few meters in front of me.
Yeah.
But yes. So, anything else from anyone? No, I think we've already gone way over time. Sandra?
I would just like to say something that was very helpful to me. It was another participant in the expedition with Dr. Greer that I did last year. And she had this advice for us. She gives telepathically the information to the ETs into the field, what she is afraid of and where are her boundaries and how far can she go. So she tries to talk with them about it, so that they have an idea what her limitations are and that they don't go too far. And I found that idea very interesting too. And I thought, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I could do that too. So that's why I just share it with you. Maybe that is also something, not to deal with very strong fears, but with some hesitation and some of the unknown as well, to just express it and think yourself about where are my limitations, what am I capable of, what can I deal with. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Sandra. That works when we're in a group. We have to be conscious of that. People have different levels of how much contact they want to have, and ETs can usually arrange for the people who are afraid to go to bed early or something like that. And also one has to be aware of where you're at, really, because some people, they think they're not afraid. Like that manager I talked about. Oh, I'm ready to. But then when it actually happens, they run away. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm really excited to have met some new faces, also some faces that I will meet very soon in June, July. And yeah, people I see again, Rebecca, Felix, yeah, Robert, and Renaud, good to see you. Rania, Romana, so we don't have a video. Sandra, see you soon too. Rob, always good to see you. And Galactic Delight, you've got a beautiful picture. Now, Yannick, you and Marcus, if you please stay on and we will deal with things. And for the rest, I wish you a wonderful good night and looking forward to hopefully seeing you on the 7th of February for Marcel's presentation. Be well, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Love to everybody.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
There we go. Just the three of us. Okay, so Yannick, Marcus and I have been working together for many years, I think since 2008. And Marcus, are you getting the same feeling I'm getting?
I think so.
Yeah, BB.
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
I recognized many.
Yeah, okay. So Yannick, if it's okay with you, what we'll do is we'll see if we can take possibly a visitor that you have that is unnecessarily attached to you, and remove them. Let me see, is the recording still on?
Yes, it is.
And then we'll stop the recording.